Could Jeff Bezos be the next owner of the Seattle Seahawks? Welcome into this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. I am your fearless leader, Tyler Jones, here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we have some new details to get to on the ownership side of things as Jody Allen, that's my JoJo. She could be looking to potentially sell the team very soon. We got some details that we'll explain. And could Jeff Bezos potentially be the one in line to take over as the next owner of the Hawks? We'll explore that possibility coming up in just a bit. Before we do, folks, we are closing in on 67,500 subscribers here on the channel. We are less than 200 away from reaching the next milestone. For daily news and rumors, as well as our live shows each and every week, Mondays and Wednesdays, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more, you got to be subscribed to your one-stop shop for all things Seattle Seahawks. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing, 100% free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. So, in case you missed it, the Portland Trail Blazers, our friends just to the south, they are officially for sale from the Paul Allen Family Trust run by Jody Allen, which is the same ownership group of the Seattle Seahawks, and they also own a stake in the Seattle Sounders, the MLS team. And so with the Blazers up for sale, what does that mean for the Seattle Seahawks? And the Blazers situation is pretty interesting too. Are the Blazers going to be on the move? How much longer are they going to stay in Portland? Could we see them come to Seattle and rebrand as the Supersonics potentially? A lot going on there in Portland. Let's tell you what you need to know. Starting with the Blazers, the Trailblazers are officially for sale. They are valued at about $3.5 billion, according to the folks at Front Office Sports. Now, the estimated sale is supposed to happen sometime in the 2025 through 2026 NBA season. So, not within the next couple of weeks, but it should be finalized while the season is still going on in the association. Now, in the Paul Allen Family Trust, since his passing, when things were handed over to JoJo, the agreement in Paul Allen's will states very clearly that all teams that were owned by Paul Allen previously must be sold at some point in time. It doesn't give a deadline, but we know it will happen, that JoJo can't hang on to those teams long term, and that the sale itself, that money that is made from these sales, must be given to charities. Now, with that said, the sale of the Seahawks is not expected to occur until after the Portland Trail Blazers are sold. This is step one for the Paul Allen Family Trust, is to move on from the Blazers and then go with the Seahawks from there. The estimated worth of the Seahawks, the last guess from the folks at Forbes, was about $5.45 billion. That's billion with a B, folks. But you would have to think the longer this goes on, that worth is only going to climb higher from here. There was a statement from the Paul Allen Trust this past week that said the following on the Portland Trail Blazers situation. This news does not affect Seahawks franchise or the estate's 25% interest in the Seattle Sounders, and neither is for sale. Now, not for sale yet. They're not taking the teams to market right now, but things could change. Despite what the Allen Trust is telling you, it actually does affect the Seattle Seahawks, because that means that they are getting the ball rolling on these sales of moving on from the assets. Once you take care of the Portland Trail Blazers and find them a new home, then the Seattle Seahawks would likely be the next to be moved. So they may say one thing, they actually mean another here. And here's another interesting development. I think we were all aware many years ago when Paul Allen passed away, and Paul Allen was a terrific man, by the way, that part of the agreement with the state of Washington up until 2025, said that the state would get a 10% share of the revenue if the Seahawks were sold. Well, that time has come and gone. That has expired. So now, going forward from here, would be the window where Seattle would be looking to sell. That way, they don't have to give up that 10% stake to the state of Washington of the profits made from the sale. The name to watch, and we're going to go over a list of names of potential owners here in just a moment, is Jeff Bezos. And Bezos is the leading contender for a number of reasons. We'll tell you what those are coming up in just a bit. Now, what do you think about Jeff Bezos being the next owner of the Seattle Seahawks? It's our pinned comment today. Your chance to make the call. Should they sell to Bezos? Before I tell you my opinion, I want to hear from you guys. Type HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. Weigh in. Let us know. You might get an ad break while the ad's playing. Get your votes in. Let us know what you think. Personally, I'm all in on the idea of Jeff Bezos. And I know that there's some people that don't like how he's handled things at Amazon, or maybe don't like his politics or what's going on at the Washington Post. But put all of the personal stuff aside and look at his track record. In everything that he has touched, from Amazon to Blue Origin to the Washington Post, each and every one of those have been extremely successful. The guy is brilliant. He is not just a rich dude. He is a genius, okay? Founder and executive chairman of Amazon, also the founder of Blue Origin, the owner of the Washington Post, the second richest man in the world, according to Forbes, at $216.5 billion. And you may recall there was a report from the Washington Post not too long ago that Jeff Bezos expressed interest in buying the Seattle Seahawks as far back as 2019. And he didn't end up buying the Washington Commanders or some of the other teams that have popped up. Some people have speculated that he passed on those opportunities because he's waiting for the chance to buy his hometown team, the Seattle Seahawks. Bezos lived in the Seattle area for nearly 30 years. This is his team. This is his home. Who he roots for is the Seattle Seahawks. And Bezos, there's no shortage of cash on hand. We mentioned how much he's worth at over $200 billion. But not too long ago, he sold off about $5 billion in Amazon shares to put in his pocket. And some people think that that was to have ready in case the Seahawks come for sale, that he can make a pretty good offer and have that cash in hand ready to go. The thing with Jeff Bezos, he doesn't do anything halfway. The great Ron Swanson once said, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. And Jeff Bezos, whether it's been Amazon or Blue Origin or the Washington Post or these different businesses and investments he's been a part of, he goes all in everything he does. And I have every reason to think he would be a successful owner for this Seattle Seahawks team. In a moment, we will lay out the reasons why I think Bezos would be a good fit for the Seahawks. But we want to hear from you guys. If it's not Bezos, who should it be? Who do you believe should be the next owner of the Seattle Seahawks? The ultimate decision. If you had to choose one individual, who would you like to see be that next owner? Chime in the comment section and tell us what you think. Seahawks rookie jerseys are on sale now at chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. Whether it's Gray Zabel or Jalen Milroe, one of these others, you can get a Seahawks jersey with their name and the number that they're going to wear this season at chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. We have the rookies available. We also have other players of interest. Maybe you want a Sam Darnold or a Cooper Kupp jersey. We got those for you as well, all in one place, chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Go to chatsports.com/Seahawks rookies to get yours today. Now, when I look at Jeff Bezos in particular, there's a lot of pros about him potentially being the next owner of this team. And I can't find too many cons. Maybe you don't like him personally, but I don't care if he's a bad guy. If you don't like him for those reasons, the guy's been a winner in everything he does. The pros far outweigh the cons in this case. The pros of Bezos as the owner. Money would never be an issue under any circumstance for this organization. They would have every dollar at their disposal that they could potentially think of. Top-notch facilities, among the very best in the NFL. Look, whether it's a remodel of Lumen Field down the line, whether that's building another stadium, they can have the stadium that they want well into the future. Whether it's the practice facilities, maybe it's doing something like what the Dallas Cowboys have done with the Star in Dallas, of building an entire city around their practice facility. You are going to be second to none with that money that Bezos has, what he can spend to invest, and it would be very attractive to free agents. Bezos has done a really good job when it comes to creating global branding and innovation. Think big picture. This is not just the Seattle Seahawks. You want to reach fans all across the nation, all across the world, and build this brand. And Bezos knows exactly how to do that. There would be a commitment to Seattle. If you recall, when Paul Allen bought the team many years ago, there was talk that the next owner might move the organization. There's no reason to leave Seattle if you're Jeff Bezos. A commitment would be there to represent his hometown team with all the money he has. And then the ability to attract top talent with giving them the best resources, the best facilities imaginable, and somebody like Jeff Bezos leading the way. Who would not want to play for that? Whether it's future coaches, players, you are going to get the best of the best. With that said, it's not a foregone conclusion. Even if Bezos is the favorite to be the next owner, he will have some competition, and there will be a lot of people interested as these things come about when these teams come up for sale in the National Football League. And here's some names that I would keep an eye on. Steve Ballmer, a Microsoft guy, owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. He's expressed some potential interest in getting into the National Football League. How about Bezos' own ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott? She made off pretty well after he had that affair with a nanny, I think. Yeah, she's got a boatload of money, and she's got Seattle connections as well, looking to potentially cash in. Wouldn't that be ironic if Mackenzie Scott ended up being the owner of the Seahawks? How about Chris Hansen? He did an effort to bring back the Supersonics many years ago and led that effort, led that group, and he's a guy that's, I think, beloved among the Seattle community. Another one for you, Jay-Z and Rock Nation Sports. They've done the agency thing, and now there's rumblings that they're looking to take a step up and get into the ownership side of things, and the NFL could be their next step. How about Mark Cuban? He's no longer owning the Dallas Mavericks. He's got plenty of money to spend, a lot of time on his hands here. I think that he doesn't feel good about how things went after he departed from the Dallas Mavericks with the Luka trade and everything here. Maybe his next chapter is getting involved in the National Football League, taking that step up from the NFL. And here's another thing. These teams are so expensive, folks, that what we've seen is a trend where ownership groups are now forming, where we're seeing less and less of teams owned by just one individual, where they are getting, whether it's former players or people that are involved in the community that have a bit of wealth to them to get involved. Even look at the Las Vegas Raiders, who've been family owned for all these years, from Al Davis to Mark Davis. What did they do recently? They called up Tom Brady, and now Tom Brady's got a significant ownership stake and say within the Las Vegas Raiders. So who could potentially be in the ownership group? Here's some names I'd keep an eye on. Steve Largent is a possibility. I think Walter Jones is another name that comes to mind. How about Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander, Cam Chancellor? I could see all of those guys potentially having a stake in the Seattle Seahawks. Some other names, I think Marshawn Lynch would be another one to keep an eye on. And then how about in the world of entertainment? Macklemore, I don't know what he's doing these days. It's been a while since he put out a banger, but Macklemore could be a name to keep in mind. You want a Seahawks super fan, you're not going to find a bigger one than Rainn Wilson. Dwight Schrute. Wouldn't that be electric? Dwight Schrute owns the Seattle Seahawks. He could be involved in an ownership group. Chris Pratt, also another possibility. And then my personal favorite, Washington native, none other than Sidney Sweeney. Man, you could sell a lot of merch. There would be a lot of great opportunities with Sidney Sweeney involved. Whether it's some tank tops or bikinis or something, sign me up. Sidney Sweeney, I still want her to raise the 12th man flag at the very least. Let's get Sidney involved and call me anytime. Anytime, Sidney. Who would you like to see in the next ownership group? Whether it's Bezos buying the team or some of those other names we mentioned, who do you want to see of a celebrity or a former player involved in the next ownership group? Weigh in, let us know. Another thing to keep in my mind on, too, that I think would be an interesting point is the private equity realm of things. The NFL changed its rules not too long ago that allows for a 10% ownership stake to come from private equity. Now, by the time Seattle sells, that stake could be higher. It could still be 10%, but I wouldn't be surprised if private equity is involved. At the end of the day, I think if you're the Seahawks, what you're hoping for is that the next owner isn't anything like what we've seen with David Tepper with the Carolina Panthers. Rich guy, a lot of money, but a dumbass when it comes to spending and running that organization. That would be the worst case scenario. That's what I'm hoping for. At the end of the day, I believe that they're going to find the right guy. I just hope that it's not somebody like David Tepper or a Dan Snyder type. If they avoid that, they should be in good shape. Ownership matters. Look at what Josh Harris has done since taking over the Commanders from Dan Snyder. It is a 180 of an organization. It's totally different, and I think that it's going to be very important to make sure that they're in good hands going forward from here. And I think Bezos would be great to be that guy potentially. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today for free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.